This is an introduction to career development. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Every artist was first an amateur." Take a moment to reflect on the meaning of this quote. To me, this quote relates to the work we will do this semester in exploring your interests and determining how best to paint your career identity. I know so many students who, at the beginning of this class, say to me, "I don't have any skills. I've never had a job. I'm just 18. I'm just 20. I don't have any clue what I want to do with my life." And that's okay. Every artist was first an amateur. Every artist was first someone who had no idea what they were doing. But they learned more about themselves and they pressed on and they developed skills and they found themselves to be exactly where they needed to be. And we'll be doing that in this course. We'll be helping each other develop and grow and continue to learn about ourselves, because that's really what is going to help us to make that transition from an amateur to a full-fledged artist. I want to point out two important things about this visual representation. Firstly, you can see that it says career development process. There is no definitive start and definitive end to career development. You don't start at age 15 and then by the time you're 20, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm done. I've done career development. I've realized what I want to do and I'm set until I'm 95. I mean, I wish it could work like that, but it really, really doesn't. Career development is an ongoing process and it's something that changes continuously. Not just because we change sometimes, but because the world and the market that we're going into is also changing. Additionally, you can see that each one of these four components blend in and lead into another. So each is kind of building the foundation for that next level. And so we can see here that the various components are assess, explore, decide, and act. So in assessment, you're learning more about your interests, values, and personality. And when you know more about yourself, it can lead to that next level, which is exploration, really looking at what the various options are. And when you explore and you look at a number of different options, it moves you closer to being able to decide. And once you've decided, yeah, I want to be in med school, okay, if you want to be in med school and you want to be a doctor, well, what are the steps you need to take in order to make that a reality, right? You need to take the MCAT, you need to get recommendations, you may need to do various things like extracurricular activities or internships or clubs. And each of those various components, again, like I said, leads into one another, because you may act and then find out something very new about yourself that then starts that process of career development all over again. I hope that as I'm explaining this, you're not getting disheartened, but you're getting empowered, knowing that this is a process and that just being in it is good enough. You're going to move through it at your own pace, and some of us move through them multiple times throughout a lifetime. And we'll learn more about that in our career theory section. I already touched on these, but some of you may be more visual learners, so I thought I would have a slide where some of this is broken down. And again, to stress, career development is a lifelong process and it's an iterative process. So the self-exploration and the assessment, again, looking into your interests, personalities, skills and abilities and values, and then exploring your options, right? What's out there? And you have all the resources that ASU has to offer in terms of internships, various majors. There are so many clubs on campus and also so many careers that you can choose from the majors that are here. You move into then deciding, and some of that may be assessing what the career trends are out there, or even assessing how you make decisions. So what are the decision-making strategies that you employ? And then lastly, acting on it, making it happen. There are 9 trends that we're seeing in the world of work. The first is that most jobs today are created by small businesses, and small businesses employ fewer than 50 employees. Secondly, traditional hierarchies found in the business world are changing. So for example, there's a reduced middle management, or there are more flexible networks of specialists who work on short-term projects. So the structures that we used to see in the business world are also changing. Thirdly, smaller companies are able to expand and contract with the changing economy, which means that many companies now employ temporary or contracted employees to fit the specific need that they may have. Fourthly, the US is considered a service economy, depending on knowledge workers. And knowledge workers have the ability to be flexible and also learn new skills with the changing economy and the changing workplace. So adaptability and flexibility is really important. That adaptability and flexibility. The fifth world of work trend is that lifelong learning is becoming more important. So things like continuing education and learning really give various employees a competitive edge for moving up in companies or being contracted out with a lot of companies. Global competition is also expanding. So most valuable employees may often be those with experience or familiarity with different languages and cultures. So diversity and being multiculturally competent is becoming very, very important. Seventh, the internet. And that kind of speaks for itself, right? The internet really influences how we think and act and learn and do business, and also how we manage our careers or find our careers. I mean, now so many places say fill out the application online, go through the online process. And so the internet is really changing a lot of what the work world used to be. And it's also making it easier for employees and employers to connect than it was before. Eighth, there's changing work paths. Today, individuals often change their career path 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. And so again, coming back to this sense of career development not being an open and closed door thing, but more of a lifelong process, people change work paths 3 to 5 times on average. And lastly, the ninth world of work trend is making meaning out of our work. The new career is now about finding balance and meaning in one's life. And so it's not just about, making money at work and then going and living your other life. People, especially in our generation, are looking to find a sense of meaning and purpose in the work that they're doing. Now that we've talked about the various trends that we see, these are top 10 ways that work will probably change in the near future. The first is that it's a high-tech, high-touch, and high-growth market. So over the next 7 years, jobs in the information technology sector will grow by 24%. And so there's a lot of growth in these high-tech companies and also high-touch companies, companies where there's a lot of impact and interaction. Secondly, there's a new work order. So there's really this new expectation of upholding honor, honesty, and integrity in the workplace. Sadly, large benefit packages may be a thing of the past. So with rising healthcare costs, more of the burden has been shifted to the employee. So premiums, copays, and deductibles have risen 40% in the past 5 years. Recent legislation may change how this is going to work, but we've seen that the benefit packages that used to be kind of part and parcel of many jobs is no longer the case, and these are kind of the trends that many experts are predicting will continue. Fourth, we're seeing a lot of telecommuting, and this will probably still be the case in the next few years. This saves companies money and allows many employees to have fulfilling family lives as well, because if you can work from home, there's a chance that you're spending more time with your kids or your wife or whatever it may be. And so telecommuting is becoming really, really popular. Also, with globalism and the internet, as we talked about in the previous trends, there is this need for more of an international connection. So many people, work in Malaysia, but are working for a US company or vice versa. And this is because the internet is making this a possibility. Fifth, we see that the retirement age is older than it used to be. And so people are, again, finding more meaning and purpose in their work and also living longer. So the retirement age is really kind of bumping up. Sixth is a movement toward gender equality. And I put a question mark there because although there has been some movement from where it used to be, we're still not equal. And we'll get into this more in our diversity section. Seventh, going green. So, as ASU has the sustainability major, and we definitely are a green campus, we're probably in line with this next trend. And seeing that there are over 750,000 green jobs in the U.S., this seems to be something that's going to continue to grow. So, um, many are wanting to go into jobs and into companies that have going green or being sustainable as part of the mission statement. Eighth, we can see the Generation X management. And what I mean by this is that the definition of success may focus now on values instead of money. And so, again, going back to the sense of meaning and purpose in the work that we do. Ninth, we see that U.S. manufacturing will be alive and well. So, manufacturing is not going anywhere. And 10th, goodbye, cubicle. We're seeing so many more jobs that are not about just sitting at your desk, but are much more interactive, much more outdoors, much more mobile as our society is becoming more mobile. So after going over these 9 trends and 10 ways that the world of work will probably change, what is the take-home point? Change, right? The world of work is constantly changing. And so the best way to prepare yourself for the journey down different paths is to know yourself, right? Know thyself. Life goals, interests, values, skills. These are things that, although the world of work may change, having a good sense of where you are and who you are will really be a grounding force. And also, it's important to understand what others perceive about you, right? A resume, what is your brand or your interview style? That kind of honest feedback about how others perceive you is critical in a world where first impressions really matter. And when I talk about knowing yourself, it's not just in a very cut and dry way, like, oh, I'm Joe the engineer, but really in a multi-dimensional manner. Asking yourself questions like, what do I like to do? Do I like to travel? Will my job allow me to do that? Do I really want to work from home? Am I good at collaborating with others? And if not, then how do I work best? We don't exist in a bubble, and many of us have other life goals besides a career. So, how do we sort those out? So, look at yourself. What have you enjoyed or not enjoyed in the past? What makes you happy or challenges you? These are questions that are really going to get to the core of who you are, and knowing who you are will allow you to find a constant in a world that is definitely anything but constant. I hope this has been exciting for you. Small little introduction to career development and the world of work that's out there. I can't wait for us to get started.